The movie starts with a woman named Michelle getting ready for an important event, but something drives her mad and she even tries shooting herself but stops. Later, Michelle is in the office of a psychologist, Dr. Bill Kappa. They talk about the issues she's been having and even argue. He asks her what she sees when she looks at the mirror, and that drives her over the edge, and she suddenly decides to jump out of the window all the way down to the street, finishing herself. After some time, Bill is at the eye doctor because he can't see the color red anymore due to the accident. He's with his friend Larry, and they're talking about his condition after the accident. Bill is blaming himself for Michelle's death, and Larry can't seem to convince him that it can't be his fault. Larry makes fun of him because Bill can't seem to keep a woman. He even lost his wife to another man. Bill does know something is broken inside him and he needs to fix it, but Larry thinks all he needs to do is forgive himself. Bill makes his way to LA and can't stand the constant chattering of his cab driver. A group of people who all look like they have some sort of issue in their head are in an office for a group therapy session. Some of them make fun of a guy named Clark. The therapist, Bob, walks in and it's time to start the session, but he finds Bill outside and convinces him to join the session. Everyone has different reactions to Bill joining the session, but Sandra seems to like Bill. Sandra tells everyone that she wants sex all the time and has a problem with a need to steal things. Richie is next Buta's 16-year-old boy who has a gender identity problem. He considers himself a girl and also has social anxiety. Casey makes fun of Richie causing a fight to break out between the two. Buck lost his wife and daughter and can't seem to get past the grief. Casey, an entitled painter, is still making fun of everyone, so Clark proceeds with his introduction, and he has OCD. As the session ends, Clark compliments Bob's book and gives it to Bill before saying goodbye. On their way out, Bill and Bob get into the Mercedes and take to the streets. Bill has already figured out everything about Bob's patients, and Bob is impressed. They get to the house and take the bags inside, and Bill is impressed by the house. He can't help himself from looking around and asks about Bob's divorce and is concerned about the way he is living. They keep talking over drinks and Bill is worried about himself because the death of Michelle is consuming him. The next morning, Bill and Bob go for a bike ride, and that's when Bob reveals that someone from the group therapy is threatening his life, and that is the reason for his house being so secure and him being a bit paranoid. Bob is in his office now, listening to some music, but then he hears something. He gets nervous and pulls out a gun, but it was just the wind, and he puts his gun down and hides his notebook, but someone is behind him. Suddenly, the lights get cut off. Bob tries to turn them back on, but someone is already at the door. He tries running out but gets tackled by someone with a knife. The masked man stabs Bob and ends him. Police officer Hector Martinez believes that someone in the Monday group is a murderer. He asks Bill to inform them about Bob's passing. Initially, Bill doesn't want to, but he agrees later on. The day after, Bill is in Bob's car. He has a crash with a Jeep. A girl called Rose is driving the Jeep, but Rose doesn't have insurance. Bill gives her his phone number and where he lives. This way, they can sort it out later. At the next Monday meeting, Bill tells everyone about Bob. They are all surprised when they hear this. They want Bill to keep doing their therapy. Bill says no. After Michelle dies, he says he can't do it, but everyone makes him say yes. Martinez urges Bill to break up the group, but Bill's promise prevents him. He discovers signs of a break-in at Bob's house. Rose visits and they develop feelings. After a dinner and a kiss, Rose leaves abruptly. Dale, Richie's guardian, wants to end Richie's therapy, but Bill insists it's court-ordered and necessary. Returning from a run, Bill finds a rattlesnake in his mailbox, a death threat. Martinez suspects Bill of murdering Bob for his assets, but their confrontation is interrupted by Rose's arrival. They grow closer on their second date. Bill learns from social services that Richie had a psychiatrist, Dr. Needleman. Meanwhile, Sandra returns from shopping with flirtatious Bonnie, who leaves angrily when Bill calls. Bill suspects Richie of Bob's murder, but Sandra defends him and suggests the clerk as the culprit. As her personal trainer arrives, Bill departs. Bill visits Dale's workshop, where he insists Richie needs therapy. He then visits Dr. Needleman's widow, who ejects him at Richie's mention. At a group meeting, members share their romantic lives, but Richie remains alone. Bill narrowly escapes an attack from a red car. At Martinez's party, he learns of the group's troubled past. Buck, however, remains a mystery. Buck later reveals his family died in a car theft, possibly revenge-driven. Returning home, Bill finds Rose, who admits to taking a key. Upset, Bill scolds her, but they reconcile over dinner. Detective Anderson discovers Martinez and Buck's past partnership in the drug department and a love triangle with Buck's late wife. Bill finds Casey dead at home with a half-burnt painting of a girl, possibly Casey's girlfriend. Sandra and Bonnie dance and start to undress, but Bonnie stops it. Rose visits Bill, they sunbathe, and she steals photos from Bob's album. Bill chases her but fails. At a group meeting, Bill learns Sandra took Bob's diary, revealing Rose as Bob's girlfriend. The group argues, Richie leaves, and Martinez mocks them for being fooled by Rose, whose contact details Bill lacks. Bill asks Detective Anderson to find out who owns Rose's car using the car's number, but Anderson tells Martinez instead of Bill. Then, when Bill is in the parking lot, the same red car tries to hit him. Luckily, Bill is safe again. Bill talks about this with his friend and guide, Dr. Larry. After listening to everything, he says that Rose has a mental illness where she has many personalities. That's why she changes who she is and meets different people, and maybe she killed Bob and Casey. After this, Bill goes to see Mrs. Niddlemare. He asks her about Richie in a strong way. She says that Richie Dexter died 4 years ago. He killed himself, and the reason for this was Dr. Niddlemare. He hurt Richie. Bill visits Ford and Dale's workplace. Richie was there sitting on a chair. He was bleeding, and it looked like someone had hurt him badly. Bill takes off his glasses and wig. Then we see Rose. Bill remembers that Richie had a sister. Her name was Rose, too. She says that after Richie died, her big brother Dale made her dress and act like Richie. If Rose said no, then Dale would hit her and hurt her. And after Richie got into trouble with drugs, she had to go to the therapy group. She forgot that she was a girl. She wanted to be a girl again, that is Rose. But she was scared of Dale. That's why she changed herself into Bonnie, but since she fell for Bill, she started to be the old Rose again. Bill tries to help her up from the chair, but her hands were nailed to the chair. Bill carefully takes out the nails, then Dale shows up. He starts to shoot at them with his nail gun. He nails both of Bill's hands to the wall. He was about to kill him when Martinez arrives. He points his gun at Dale and talks about himself, how he found out about Dale, who really owns the red car and got here in time. But Dale is quicker than Martinez. He nails his hands too. Then Bill somehow frees himself and runs with Rose, but Dale is quick too. He throws a cabinet on Bill. Bill manages to get Rose out, but he gets trapped. Then Dale locks him in a metal box. Bill says that Dale knew that Dr. Needlemeyer was bad. He hurt Dale too, but he still sent Richie to him. In the end, Richie was killed, and Dale thinks it's his fault. He doesn't want to accept that Richie is dead. That's why he made his sister Rose act like Richie. Dale admits all this and says that Dr. Bob knew that Rose was really Richie, and Casey was an artist, so he couldn't hide it from him. He also knew that Bonnie and Richie are the same person. That's why they had to be killed, and now he will kill Bill too. But then Rose comes from behind and shoots him with a nail gun. He dies right there. Feeling guilty for her older brother's death, she wants to end her life too, but there were no nails left. She jumps onto a tower and starts to climb up to kill herself. Bill follows her. Just as she was about to jump, Bill grabs her. He looks after her and they share a deep kiss. There's a red light flashing in the back, and suddenly, Bill can see red again. His color blindness is healed by Rose's love, and with that, the movie ends. If we simplify the movie's story, it goes like this. Rose had two brothers. The older one was Dale, and the younger one was Richie. Dale sent Richie to Dr. Needlemeyer for help, but he hurt Richie. Because of this, Richie took his own life. Then Dr. Needlemeyer was killed too. After Richie was gone, Dale made Rose act like Richie. If Rose said no, Dale would hit her. By doing this, Rose started to forget who she was, because Richie was already in trouble with drugs, and the court said he had to get help. That's why Dale sends Rose, who is acting like Richie, to Dr. Bob Moore. To the world, Richie is still alive. Only Dale and Mrs. Needlemeyer know that Richie is dead. In Dr. Bob's therapy group, Rose, acting like Richie, meets other patients. She wanted to be a girl again, but she was scared of Dale. So she changes who she is and becomes Bonnie. Sometimes she's Rose, sometimes Richie, sometimes Bonnie. By doing this, she gets a mental illness where she has many personalities. To meet her physical needs, she gets close to Dr. Bob and other patients. But Dr. Bob and Casey slowly realized that Bonnie and Richie are the same person. As soon as Dale finds out, he kills them. Because Dale doesn't want anyone else to know this secret, Rose was close close to all of them for her physical needs, but she didn't love them. When she met Bill, she fell in love. That's why she told him her name was Rose, not Bonnie. She loves him with all her heart. That's why she doesn't want to lose him, because she was Dr. Bob's girlfriend. There was a picture of her in Bob's photo album. She ran away that day so that Bill wouldn't find out the truth. But Bill got another copy of this picture from Bob's diary, and he found out everything. At the end of the film, Bill can see red again. The reason is simple. Bill saw Michelle die in front of him. He couldn't help her. He thought her death was his fault. He felt guilty. Then Richie, who was also Rose, became his patient, but this time he saved Rose. She didn't kill herself. Feeling happy about this, he forgave himself, and his problem with seeing colors was fixed. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our recap. Watch our next videos on the screen, and don't forget for more amazing recaps. See you on the next one.